guys, Cher here, and today this episode of the anime review is going to be extremely special. And here's why. Have you ever come across a series that, after reading both the anime and the subtitles of the manga, if you're not Japanese, that it's become like a staple anime? It could be just to you in particular, but it also could be to the entire community itself. Well, after watching the anime first and finishing the manga around the same time to the series in general, considering how the stories are both they're pretty much the same all throughout, even though sometimes the manga, has more filler stuff since it's manga and you can basically do whatever you want with it. I thought that just doing the anime review and or doing a versus episode for this series would not do this series justice. So I decided to do a new, probably very rare and miniature series that basically, if the source material from both the manga and anime are very similar, so similar that there isn't really a difference between the two, that I'm just going to talk about the entire series of both mediums as a whole rather than pick either one or the other or just do an anime review of it. I'm going to call this just Otaku Favorites, or if I can come up with a better title sometime in the future with another video. And for the first series I'm going to talk about, I'm going to do Assassination Classroom, because this series definitely took me on a wild ride, and it took many years for me to get through. So, let's get started, shall we? Assassination Classroom premiered as a manga in Weekly Shonen Jump on July 2nd, 2012, written by Yusei Matsui. It ran for 21 volumes until the series ended in 2016, March 25th. In 2013, a 23-minute OVA was released by Brains-Based Studios, which I had no idea was a thing until I did my research for this video. However, the anime we all know and love today premiered on January 9th, 2015, and it ended with its second season on June 16th, 2016, 3 months after the manga's completion. #perfect timing. 2 live-action films spawned with the success of the TV show, one in 2015 and one in 2016, and honestly, they don't look that terrible. I haven't seen them, but the CGI in Koro Sensei looks pretty decent. The latest in the franchise is a spin-off called Koro Sensei Quest, which looks like a parody of Sword Art Online and a ripoff of that one My Hero Academia ending from Season 2. And I'm just gonna get out of the way that Assassination Classroom has become one of my favorite series in the entire anime manga oeuvre. I think it's almost tied with Black Bullet at this point, especially since I've finished it about around this time, sort of last year, or almost last year. I cannot say that this series is one of those series that only the selective few can watch. If this anime is not, or if the whole series franchise as a whole is not beloved by the entire otaku community, I don't know what to say. Because for me in particular, this series gave me a lot, and I mean a lot, of emotions that I cannot control while watching every minute or reading every page. So without further ado, let's jump into this entire review of the manga and anime of Assassination Classroom. The story of the show is as it follows. And for those of you who didn't know this show existed, you'll be on a wild ride. Once upon a time, in a Japanese middle school, there is a system where the lowest grade students are treated like shit amongst the rest. So much so that they are sent to a rundown classroom separated from the rest of the main school building. They are called Class 3E, and they are designed to fail based on their grades and home circumstances, because the people who run this school are just downright terrible and they couldn't care less about these poor kids, especially the principal. However, this class becomes the Assassination classroom when they are given a chance to save the world and earn millions of yen. An alien threatens to blow up the world by next spring unless the people can find a way to destroy him. This alien becomes Class 3E's teacher, and the class is promised a huge reward if they can kill the alien. However, this alien monster is almost near impossible to kill, and he loves to toy with the students' sanities, education-wise and just for the heck of it. The class calls him Koro-sensei, which is Japanese for unkillable teacher. And I'm really trying my best not to cry right now, but that stuff is for later. So let's start with story. And I know since we're talking about both the manga and anime that there are going to be some slight differences, especially with the manga, since I read the whole thing and it definitely had a lot more what I like to call filler scenes than the anime did, because these scenes might have not exactly contributed to the story as most scenes in the anime would have. But for me personally, I don't think these scenes distract from the story as a whole, because it does do its justice by developing some of the side characters from the series, because there are obviously so many of them. But regardless of that, let's drill down to the premise of the series as a whole. On first glance, you would think that this show is a parody of those older anime that have a strange teacher come in to teach the students about life lessons and to show them that they can be themselves without society to tell them otherwise. Such anime I can think of with a premise like that are Nejima, GTO, and The Royal Tutor, which came out after Assassination Classroom. And I only meant The Royal Tutor because the other two series came out way before Assassination Classroom did. What these series have in common is that the teacher is unorthodox when it comes to their personal selves and the way that they teach. In Nejima, the teacher is a literal 10-year-old who is a super genius in a class with all girls, which I don't understand why. GTO's teacher used to be a school fuck-up who now wants to help others and somewhat get into the girl students' skirts. Then the royal tutor is a man who is shorter than average, but he observes the students like a psychologist just so he can teach the royal sons in the styles they are the most comfortable in without treating them like robots. Yes, these teachers are all far from what we call average, but that's what makes them so memorable to this day. Why Assassination Classroom wanted to make fun of that? I wasn't sure until I realized this show wasn't exactly a parody on school anime with different teachers at all. It's parodying the Japanese school system and school anime that copy that system. The whole purpose of Class 3E is to make fun of the fact that there is basically a system in Japan that rates students based on their grades. Rankings go from A to D in real life. Class A is similar to American AP or honors classes. The best students are put in there. Classes B and C are where your average students would go. Then Class D is where the students with the lowest grades are placed. I've watched school anime and read the same genre manga for a while, and I noticed two things about it. One, the majority of the time, the main characters will be in ranked A classes, and you can tell because of the school signs the camera would show and how the students would excel in their classes. Two, the only other series I know from Assassination Classroom that shows main characters in a class anything lower than Class A is Lovely Complex. The main girl's in Class D, and it clearly shows her struggle throughout the series. However, seeing this is not exactly common unless you watch anime like Kakigurui, which the school system is a complete extreme. Assassination Classroom takes this in account that just screams,
"Oh, won't somebody please think of the children?"
And I'm not kidding. Though Koro-sensei is the one character everyone loves to have on screen, it's the students who make the series happen. Assassination Classroom isn't really about a bunch of low-grade students trying to kill an alien teacher who is about to destroy the world if he isn't stabbed in time. And I would try to explain all of that in this video, but honestly that would take me forever to dissect in one sitting. So I'm just going to describe basically what makes the whole entire series so special. And before I mention this, the characters are pretty much the same in both anime and manga as I mentioned before. So if there's anything really special to it, I would have said that already. And if there was anything special, it was because of the extra plot that was basically added to the manga. So let's just jump right into it. There are a lot of characters, too many to name I think. But I also think it's better to explain the demographic that this show presents rather than go through them individually. As I explained in the plot, the main students, Class 3E, start their journeys by being treated like the black sheep just so that the upper classes look better. In a way, each of them start with some sense of confidence lacking since the system was meant to destroy them. The school basically says, screw where you came from. If you can't escape the delinquent class, what futures will you have? Society doesn't want to, and will never hire fuck-ups such as you. Of course this will destroy self-esteems. That's the point. But then you have their heroes, Koro-sensei, Bitch-sensei, and Karasuma-sensei. I'm sure I'm pronouncing that wrong. These three obviously teach the students different aspects of life and how to be assassins. Koro-sensei is the lighthearted, perverted one who shows the students that they are smarter than they know. Bitch-sensei is the foxy one who teaches the kids that they are sneakier than they know. Then lastly, Karasuma-sensei teaches the kids that they are stronger than they think. What they all have in common though is that if anything happens to these kids, all hell will break loose. I am not kidding. That is a thing. Or multiple things that happens throughout the series. So in regards to the students, most importantly, Nagisa, Cait, and Karma, they started out as kids with no direction or support from anyone due to whatever circumstances they have. But with these teachers, they have people to fall back on for help. They've grown to have independence because of them, and they will be ready for any challenge with their teachings. Yes, the teachers have flaws, but they don't let those flaws affect bringing these students back up from the school ghetto to where they deserve to belong. And I haven't seen anything like this since Glee, and I can easily say that Glee became trash after season 3. And this show, Assassination Classroom, was great throughout. And it's not just the main characters that are very well developed and basically relatable. The villains in this series, dang, like, I haven't seen anything that hardcore for villains in a very long while. Like, to me, these villains are the type of villains that you just want to hate, because that is the purpose of villains. Kind of like if you're watching, the evil stepmother from Cinderella, or Judge Frollo from Hunchback, or a specific person who's sitting in the seat in the Oval Office right now. Like, I didn't go into Assassination Classroom with high expectations, but I think because of that, Assassination Classroom definitely blew my expectations out of the water, and the characters are my favorite part of it. The style of the series, meaning both manga and anime, may be simple or as more simple than other shonen series at the time. At least that's the first impression. When you get to the first attempted assassination of Koro-sensei though, that's when the true art comes in. Just by looking at Koro-sensei alone, this animation is on another level. Not just by movement, but by texture and special effects as well. Yes, the manga does this too, and no wonder the anime wanted to bring this to life. Though Koro-sensei looks smooth as silk, whenever he gets injured, it looks like a real injury. It's gross when I say that, but that should be the point. Everything is detailed in this series. The action scenes, as low-key as they are like dances in every fantasy anime ever. And speaking of the fight, these are brutal as hell. Maybe it's because it takes place in a realistic setting without any superpowers and stuff, but because this anime's focus is on assassins, of course they're brutal. You don't expect these people to fight clean, and the unpredictability of it had me on the edge of my seat every single time. And it's not just the action. The comedy just makes a huge point to make you laugh as hard as you can.
It would take longer to describe the things he did to this body than it did for him to do them. My back and shoulders have never felt looser. He somehow worked in a lymphatic oil massage. A change of clothes, just because. And he still had time to do this thing with his tentacles.
What thing with his tentacles?
Koro-sensei, what is she talking about?
Adults sometimes need special care.
And that is my favorite comedic scene of all time. This anime just pulls all the stops. Especially with this scene also.
Go on, speak up, Okada. What can I do for you?
Poison, sir! Would you drink it, please?
Your heart and soul? Don't mind if I do, then.
Or he could just grow horns.
Why wouldn't I? It welcomed itself into the world of comics and animation as a comedy, and it never lost that touch. Speaking of never losing touch, it has its dark moments too, and they play this up in contrast to the comedy. If a comedy can break free from the happy moments to get the audience to indulge in the drama for the sake of the characters, I think that makes a fantastic story overall, and Assassination Classroom does just that. And in order to fully express my gratitude for this whole entire series, next section. Now I put everything else into this section because there is only so much I can squeeze into this entire video. So first off, the music.
Hello, shooting star, hello, shooting star again. 待っていたよ、夢を見るあの子はずっと。ポテンシャル高いほどめんどくさい泥バメンタリティ非日常を凌がしいつだってこうやって突き落とされてしまうのさ夜空に泳ぐ月だって手を伸ばせば届くの愛もない意味のわかんないことで笑ったり悩んだりこの季節が迎えに来たら君の姿を探すことも
Hell yeah. Secondly, I watched the English dub version of the show, and it's one of the best English dubs I've ever seen in my life. The voice actors seemed like they had so much fun with their characters, and all of them fit with the roles that they were given. I've seen comments about the hate for it, but I don't see why. I really don't.
Adults sometimes need special care.
And the fact that it was pretty close to the manga actually makes this more extraordinary when it comes to the Japanese English gap. Finally, we have a good English dub that doesn't try to squish all the lines into the mouth movements, but stays true to the original manga. However, what I love most about Assassination Classroom that basically comes prepared or you don't expect to see throughout the whole thing, it's just the sincerity of it all. Hey guys, looks like you made it to the part of the video where I'm going to dive into some major spoiler territory. If you have not seen the ending to the show and do not wish to be spoiled, please skip to this time marker right here. You have been warned. If you decide to spoil yourself, don't blame me. And of course, I would be completely amiss if I didn't talk about the last few episodes or chapters of the entire series. So, if you guys haven't clicked out of this portion of the review, this is your last chance to do so. You've been warned, it gets pretty ugly from here. As I said before, the part of the series that really clicks everything together is how the series ends. We all knew that the ending was coming when Koro-sensei decides to tell his class Koro-sensei's true origins, meaning who he really is and how he became the alien monster that he looks like today. Once upon a time, Koro-sensei was once human and a self-trained assassin who became one in order to survive as an orphan. He was really successful at his job and he hoped to pass his skills down to his apprentice. However, due to Koro-sensei not exactly having too much emotion for likability, his apprentice decided to be a jerkwad and have Koro-sensei confined in a scientific testing facility. Because why not, Japan? However, while in the facility, he meets the first person to ever treat him as a kind equal, Aguri Yukimura, who is both Kaede's older sister and Class 3E's original teacher. When the facility discovers how big of a disaster the world is going to end up when Koro-sensei dies naturally, Koro-sensei's full form is activated in order to save himself and Aguri. Yeah, that happens. As Aguri's dying wish, she asks Koro-sensei to help her abused by the system students to become the best students of their school so they could teach everyone else that the system is flawed. Because Koro-sensei loved Aguri so very much, that's exactly what he does.
Won't somebody please think of the children?
And now you finally understand why this series made me cry like a little toddler. With a backstory like that, how on God's earth could we continue with the whole thing that got started on comedic elements? Well, it's because the series accomplished this by completing the character that everyone will like, which makes their ending the sadder. So every time I watch this ending,
Don't kill me with anguish in your heart, Nagisa. Nice, deep breath. Give us a smile.
Koro-sensei! Assassination Classroom broke many a new ground in the storytelling realm. It might have started as a parody on something that's very much Japanese, but as an American viewer, I took this as an inspirational tale of not letting the system tell you what success really means, and that people can go from the bottom to the top with the right person teaching them. Not only is Assassination Classroom a series that everyone should just watch in general due to everything being absolutely right with it, but like how I usually talk about The Breakfast Club, this is a series to be watched or read by teenagers to show them that there is a silver lining even when your school system is absolute trash. Assassination Classroom may not exactly teach you how to be the best assassin by learning how to kill an unkillable alien thing, but it does teach you that every obstacle can be outmatched and overcome. And with that said, I don't think I have to explain the special 10 out of 10 rating, because pretty much what I said about the entire thing explains it all. So, if you guys have not done so already, I highly suggest that you watch or read Assassination Classroom. Or both, since it's pretty much the same and you'll enjoy it either way. So that'll be it for this review. If you guys liked it, make sure you hit the like button and the subscribe button if you're interested in more of these things, and I promise I will finally get to these anime reviews again, so thank you for being patient and sticking with me. I'm Cait, Cher, and may Koro-sensei touch your souls for all of eternity. Sayonara!